Tonight, for the first time on television, the world's greatest performers, actors, and artists on The Powers of Art. And now with you, Madoom!
Good evening, and welcome to the very first episode of The Powers of Art. Tonight, here on this stage, and all across the country, and even in your own living room, you are going to witness an exploration into the last frontier, the creative spectrum of the human mind. A realm that will amaze you, perplex you, and maybe even scare you a little bit. Call it the sixth sense, intuition, the left side of the brain, or simply a hangover from the previous night's partying. We've all experienced strange creative moments that simply cannot be fully understood. Think about it. At one time or another, each one of us has had an event take place in our lives which defies reason. You may be thinking about a person and then decide to paint a picture of them. Later, when meeting, you realize how realistic that portrait actually is. Is this just a coincidence? Or is there something more than that? You walk into the room or down the street and you feel, I should dance here. Is this just a silly, childish whim or the beginnings of a musical career? These experiences are part of an artist's life, the hidden, uncharted depths of the human creative mind. Tonight, you are going to see some amazing performance demonstrations. Are they clever illusions or the real thing? Everything will be happening on stage in front of our live audience. There are no camera tricks. As these performance experiments unfold, some of them may work and some of them may not. We ask only that you keep an open mind as you watch. You know, I'm a psychic by trade, say a paranormal expert or one in touch with the other side. I have no creative or performance powers whatsoever, and either does any other psychic. We don't claim that. But as a psychic, I believe I am uniquely qualified to expose creativity when I see it, especially here on this stage, where one has a higher probability of coming in contact with the energies of creation. On tonight's show, we have theater artist Cristina Chiriazziti and visual artist Marzio Carvalho. My first guest on tonight's program is Cristina Chiriazziti, a Greek theater artist based in Berlin.
My name is Cristina Chiriazziti. I come from Greece. I have studied theater, acting and playwriting. I'm currently based in Berlin. I live and work here. My work is influenced mainly by corporal mime, Buto dance, the work of Meyerhold, biomechanics and Chant polyglot. One place that really has influenced my work was Argentina, where I used to live with El Baldio Teatro in Buenos Aires. At that point, I didn't speak any Spanish and I couldn't communicate with the people around me with language. So I think that was the initial point, both in my life and my work, that I started believing in the power of body to relate a story rather than words. And from that time on, I started creating pieces that they are mainly physical pieces between theater and dance, and they use very little speech, or they use language like black language in in a language that doesn't exist or that the spectators of the country cannot recognize. And the same goes with the songs. I use a lot of songs in languages that they are foreigners for the spectators.
Here is Christina Kiriatsiti performing Seven. Thank you, Christina. Hello, Christina.
Hello.
Could you speak a little bit about your influence and inspiration for this piece?
Yes, the inspiration came from an old performance of mine, a theatre creation, that it was called One Desperate Song, and it was based on the 20 Poems of Love and One Desperate Song by Pablo Neruda.
Could I ask you particularly about the role of this chair in your performance?
The chair. Well, the chair works as a prop. Initially, there was an idea to use the chair as the love partner, but then the love partner became the jacket, and the chair, it's one of the props of the performance, actually.
Christina, are you familiar with the works of a particular artist by the name of Van Gogh?
A little bit.
Van Gogh was a post-impressionist painter whose works had a far-reaching influence on 20th century art for its use of vivid colors and emotional impact. He suffered from anxiety and increasingly frequent bouts of mental illness and died largely unknown at the age of 37 from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He painted a picture of a chair in 1888 called Van Gogh's Chair. Did you know that?
No, I had no idea, actually.
It hangs in the National Gallery in London. Okay. Christina, are you a fan of numerology?
Yes, I am.
Yes, so am I. Numerology is based on the idea that everything in the universe has a vibration which correlates with a mathematical number. Now, some critics have called it the pseudosciences of mathematics, and indeed, there isn't much evidence as to whether or not numerology is accurate. But nonetheless, Christina, I find it very interesting that you call your performance 7.
Yes.
And that Van Gogh painted this portrait of the chair, as I mentioned, in 1888. Now, if you add all these numbers together, 1 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, they equal 25. And 2 and 5...
7.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
You perform with a chair.
Yes.
And your piece is called 7. Is this just a coincidence?
Yes, it's 7 minutes as well.
That's right. The title of your piece
Exacto.
is 7 minutes. Well, we'll let everyone out there decide if it's a coincidence.
Okay.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you so much.
You've seen the powers of the creative mind demonstrated now by someone who has an extremely heightened sense of performance awareness. But what about regular folks like you and me? Can we carve a pathway to the performer's mind? Can we reprogram our brains to erase our deepest fears and anxieties, just as we reprogram our computers? The answer may lie in numerology. So thank you to Christina Kyriaziti and her performance, 7. Thank you for joining us as we broadcast live via satellite to countries all over the world, including the United States, Germany, Canada, Australia, Italy, and Japan. You're watching the very first episode of The Powers of Art, live on stage. Now, I have already briefly mentioned some interesting connections between art and numerology, a favorite of mine among the pseudosciences. But what about art and tarot? Astrology and art? Not to mention hypnosis, mind reading, parapsychology, levitation, ESP, program continues tonight with apparitions. There are many misconceptions about what is and what isn't an apparition. Some mistakenly refer to them as phantoms, disembodied spirits, specters, or ghosts. Here to explain what he refers to as the perfect apparition is our in-house expert, Alex X. Pert.
Oh, come on. Bring the camera down here. Take a look at this. Huge footprint. I'm gonna explain something to you. Come here. You see, apparitions, they do not leave any kind of a physical mark in the world around them. So, we've got a footprint in the snow. This is clearly not an apparition. There's three choices now. It's either a ghost, or it's a vision in the classical sense of the term, or it's a person that just walked by. But we will never know. It's interesting. The other thing about apparitions is what they are. Oh, just a jacket. Apparitions. The definition of an apparition is basically your unconscious mind is creating a picture of information that you have acquired psychically, usually in times of crisis. This is interesting. This is basically like Hello? Hello? Hello, what is your name? Do you have a message? What language do you speak? No, she's not going to answer that one. You know why? Apparitions, they don't have conversations. They will answer a couple of questions for you, but conversation is a very, very human activity. And apparitions, they sense when you want to have a conversation, and they're very, very disdainful of that. So you can maybe get some answers, but there's no chit-chat.
Good afternoon, Alex.
Hi, Madame Madoom. Thanks for having me on the show. It's always a pleasure.
No, I believe it is you we have to be thanking, or how else would we ever clarify what is this mind-boggling distinction between apparitions and mere visions?
That's right. Clarification. That's the key word. That's what I hope to do today. Clarify a lot of misconceptions that a lot of people have about apparitions. I've got a special thing for you here today to show you. Here's an apparition that I've just come across. How do I know it's an apparition? Just before we started recording for the show, I tested it. Now, this apparition could get up and walk away any second or just disappear into thin air. So I'm going to try to rush through to show you why it's an apparition. Unlike ghosts, apparitions can handle inanimate objects. As you can see there, the apparition, yep, it's holding the broom. That's right. The other thing about apparitions is that under different lighting conditions, they still remain there. I'm holding a flashlight. As you can see, it's just almost like a person. It doesn't really change. It's still there, just like me. See? If I look at it from different angles, it is like a 3D object, just like I am. I have 3 dimensions. Now, if I close my eyes, the apparition will disappear. I don't see it anymore. It's not still there. Nope. If I open them, it's back. Yes? Now that's very different. If you actually use the camera, I will show you that now. Take a picture with this Polaroid, and you will see something very interesting. Unlike people or ghosts, this will just take a second. Ooh, it's cold. Just a second here. Okay. It's ready, yeah. Take a close look at that. What do you not see? That's right. Apparitions, they don't show up in pictures. They do show up in mirrors. If I were to hold a mirror up to it, you would see its reflection. They also have a heartbeat, just like a person. If I had a stethoscope, I'd hear a heartbeat. I don't, but you can take my word for it. I do hear it with my own ears. Thumping, that's right. The most interesting thing about apparitions, a human hand will go towards it to touch it, but the hand actually goes through it. I'll show you right now. All right. Oh, it's not a pleasant feeling though. It's kind of like going through a cold slime. Oh, there you go. You can see my hand is completely through. I'm going to pull it out now. It's very unpleasant. That's right. Ugh, okay. Okay, Madame Madoom, as you can see, we've been very, very lucky. This apparition could disappear at any second. I want to thank you for having me on your show, and I want to let your viewers know if they have any questions about apparitions and the difference between ghosts and visions, they can contact me, and I'm sure you've got the information.
Yes, I certainly do. Thank you so much for this investigation, Alex.
Yes, thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Till next time, eh? Bye-bye. Bye.
Do you have a message for us? What is your name?
Márcio Carvalho.
Okay, Marzio, I realize we don't have a lot of time. Are you willing to have a dialogue with me?
Of course.
Okay, let's start with why you were here. Why are you here?
I'm here to show my work and for an interview.
Yes. Yes, of course. Marzio, could you speak a little bit about the inspiration for your work?
My inspiration. I inspire myself a lot in the movements of the quotidian and trying to represent them in places or times that doesn't exist in these real quotidians. It's
Yes. Marzio, is there a title for this piece that you presented today?
yes, of course. It's apparition number 8.
Okay, Marzio, there's a lot I could say about apparitions. In fact, so could many of the people out there watching after seeing Herr Pert's investigation. But it's suddenly all coming together for me. And there are 2 subjects which I would wish to speak about that are relevant to your art. Surrealism and Hieronymus Bosch. Do you follow me?
I think so.
Surrealism advocates the idea that ordinary and depictive expressions are vital and important, but the sense of their arrangement must be open to the full range of imagination according to the Hegelian dialectic. Hegelian dialectic, usually presented in a threefold manner, was stated by Heinrich Moritz Calabois as comprising 3 dialectical stages of development. A thesis, giving rise to its reaction, an antithesis, which contradicts or negates the thesis, and the tension between the two, being resolved by the means of a synthesis. Although this model was often named after Hegel, he himself never used that specific formulation. On the other hand, Hegel did use a 3-valued logical model that is very similar to the antithesis model. But Hegel's most usual terms were abstract, negative, concrete, or a mediated, concrete. Hegel used these terms hundreds of times throughout his works. The formula thesis, antithesis, synthesis does not explain why the thesis requires an antithesis. However, the formula abstract, negative, concrete suggests a flaw in any initial thesis. It is too abstract and lacks the negative of trial, error, and experience. The same applies for the formula a mediated, concrete. For Hegel, the concrete, the synthesis, the absolute, must always pass through the phase of the negative, that is, mediation. Now, in addition to surrealist ideas being grounded in the ideas of Hegel, they also reached back to older bloodlines, including Hieronymus Bosch in the so-called primitive in naive arts. In fact, some writers see Bosch as being a prototype medieval surrealist. Little is known of Bosch. Little is known of his life or training. In fact, nothing is known about his personality or his thoughts on his art or works. The exact number of Bosch's surviving works is a subject of considerable debate. He only signed 7 of his paintings, and it is uncertain whether all the pictures once attributed to him are actually from his hand. It is known that from the 16th century onwards, numerous copies and variations began to circulate. As well, his style was highly influential and was widely imitated by his numerous followers. Over the years, scholars have attributed fewer and fewer pictures thought to be his, and now only 25 are definitively ascribed to his hand. Marzio, you were the founder of a certain artist residency and gallery in Berlin. What is the name of this residency?
The name is Hotel 25.
Marzio, could you please add 2 and 5 together?
7?
How many paintings are said to be attributed to Bosch?
25.
And how many did he actually sign?
7.
Marzio, the piece you presented tonight is part of a larger installation of works that you recently put on at your gallery. Could you please tell me the name of that installation?
7 apparitions before 8.
7. 7, Marzio, 7. Everything is 7. I'm going to ask you one more time. Do you have a message for us? Okay, Marzio, we are almost out of time. There is one more thing I have to know.